Oh, okay. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon. How are we all doing today?
It's
alright.
Alright, so we have a busy day ahead of us, so we're just going to jump right in. So our last class period, we ended class, and I asked you guys a question, and I wanted you to kind of mull it over in your minds for today's class. And that question was, is it possible to listen without our ears? Did anybody have any thoughts on that while they were at home? It's okay if you didn't, because that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. So let's just jump right in. Alright. So today we're going to be talking about nonverbal communication, or as I like to call it, listening without our ears. So, who in their own words can tell me what nonverbal communication is? Who wants to give it a shot? Bethany.
Well, I know communication is how we talk to people.
Correct. So nonverbal communication is things we're saying when we're not actually using our voice, right? Make sense? All right. So the importance of nonverbal communication in terms of listening. Why are we learning about this today, right? So over half of our daily communication is nonverbal. So we talk all day long. We're humans. We like to communicate with each other. But in between all the stuff we're saying, there's all the things that we're not saying and messages that we're sending out. So learning to listen and respond to these nonverbal communications effectively is a vital skill that helps us become better communicators and listeners, which is kind of our goal of this class, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So nonverbal communication gives us insight to people's true feelings or motives. So say I said, hey Bethany, you had a really great presentation today. That sounds good, right? Like you did really good. What if I was like, Bethany, you had a really great presentation today. That's different, right? I'm saying the same thing, but my body language, my tone, all that changes what you're feeling, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So the main things we're going to see with nonverbal communication and how it can be used in our day-to-day language is to repeat the messages that we're trying to send out, to contradict what we're saying, such as what I just did with Bethany, to be a substitution for our verbal messages, or to add meaning to messages that we've already sent out. Oh, and also to express engagement. Looking at you, looking at you. Who here has seen a poker game, either on TV or in a movie? Yeah, a lot of you? Okay. So poker players, they understand the importance of nonverbal communication. You'll notice that a lot of them wear sunglasses and hats. They try to cover up their face, and they try to stay really still. Have you guys ever heard of a poker face, right? Really, you don't want to see what they're thinking because they might give away something. So they understand the importance and how nonverbal communication can really influence people's opinions. So we're going to start talking about some of the types of nonverbal communication. Let's start with body movement. So gestures. We've all heard of gestures, right? We've played like Gestures and some other board games. So there's 3 types of gestures we're going to go over in this class. One of them is emblems. Emblems are gestures that we as a community have agreed upon its meaning. So take the thumbs up. What does the thumbs up mean when you see it?
Good.
Good. Good job. Or way to go, right?
Can I get a ride?
I know. Yes. That too. And how about the image on the left? What's that one?
Peace.
Peace. Yeah. Can anyone think of any other emblems that they know?
The okay.
Yeah, okay. That's a good one. How about like rock on? We know that one. Or how about like you're sitting in a restaurant with your friend and some lady behind you talking about how she's been abducted by aliens or something. You kind of turn to your friend and you're like, right? So crazy. So they're all agreed upon. You can just do this and people kind of know what you're talking about. Illustrators are gestures that tell you about what you're talking about, but they're not necessarily agreed upon. So say I just went like this. You don't really know what that means, right? But if I said, last week at the cabin, I caught a fish. It must have been like this big. That adds meaning. So it kind of fills in those holes in communication. That's what we're using it for. And then the last one we want to talk about is adapters. So adapters are kind of more in your subconscious. So say you're nervous and you're taking a test and you want to sit there and you want to click your pen, right? It fills some psychological need with you because you're nervous. And to everybody else, maybe if you're a good listener, you've noticed that person clicking their pen and you go, oh, that person's nervous, she's clicking her pen, right? So that's it for gestures, and then let's talk about posture. So posture can be really important in determining a person's attitude at the moment, or for instance, how about if you're going in for a job interview and you see one person sitting there and they're slouched over, they're kind of like whatever, and then you see another person, they're standing up straight, their head's up and high. Who do you think looks more confident for a job interview? First or second person? Second person, exactly. Posture sends out a message. That's pretty much all that nonverbals are. So, another type of nonverbal communication would be eye contact. Eye contact serves 4 main purposes in communication. It shows that you're engaged with a person. I'm looking at each and every one of you. I want to know that you're engaged with me back, right? I don't want to see you texting. I don't want to see you drawing, doodling on your paper. I want to see you guys looking at me looking at you, smiling, having a good time. Also, it's good at giving and receiving feedback. Who's heard the term, eyes are the windows to our soul, right? The eye is the window to the soul.
Mhm.
That's kind of what this one's talking about. We can learn a lot by looking someone in the eyes. We can see how you're feeling about what we're saying, and we can kind of judge back. It keeps communication flowing. Same thing with turn taking. Who knows what turn taking is? What do I mean by that? Turn taking is kind of, with your eyes, you can determine, oh, it's my turn to talk now, or I'm done talking. You can send out messages with your eyes. Kind of cool, right? We're like super spies. And then also communicating a relationship between 2 people. If you're over kind of creeping on someone from afar, you can kind of notice, like, by their eye contact, like, oh, these people are friends. Oh, that person doesn't like that person. It's just useful. The types of nonverbal communication, also going to talk about personal space. So the scientific study of how personal space relates to our communication is also known as proxemics. Pardon me. And there are 4 different circles that convey different levels of comfort in relationships. The first is our intimate sphere. So our intimate sphere is like 0 to 1 feet away from us, so it's really small. And the only people we really let in our intimate space are probably good friends, really good friends, or loved ones or family members. They can probably touch you pretty easy, and you can probably feel their breath on you half the time. The second sphere would be the personal sphere, or as a lot of us call it, our personal bubble space, right? Like, you want good friends in there again, people you know. You don't want some stranger in your personal bubble space. Like, if you're sitting on the bus, you don't want someone like hunched over right next to you. You're kind of like, okay, get away from me, right? The social sphere is from 4 feet to 12 feet away from us. So the social sphere, a classroom setting, your classmates, or a professional setting, like a business. These are people that you are talking with, but they're not close enough to be in your personal bubble space. You don't really want to be hugging them. You don't want to be close enough where you can like tell what makeup they're wearing. And then lastly, we have the public space, which is 12 feet or above. Public space is important, but you won't really be engaging with everyone in your public space. Your public space could be like a park or a restaurant. You're not expected to engage with those people, but it is important to be aware of who's in that environment, right? The only time that really you do engage in a public space, a speech, like we're going to be giving sometime in the future in this class. When you're giving a speech, you're up here and you're engaging with everybody, but they're not really engaging directly with you at a close proximity. So just look at the cartoon here. You see this personal space invader, and he came really close to that poor guy. This is what happens when we invade personal spaces, right? When we like break the rules, we kind of get uncomfortable. I'm going to come over here. I usually teach up here. What if I come over here? I'm going to teach right here for the rest of the day. You're going to feel a little uncomfortable?
Yes.
There you go. All right. Also, some things to mention, facial expressions. I kind of didn't want to delve into this because I'm pretty sure most of you know how to tell. You see a sad face, it's sad, happy face is happy. It's one of the first things you notice in terms of nonverbal communication is a person's facial features a lot of times. And that can tell you a lot about a person. Like, say you're talking to a friend and they say, I'm fine. But they kind of have like a sad face, and you can tell they're not fine. It contradicts what they're saying. facial expressions can give a lot away. And then also, I want to talk real quick about touch or haptics. Touch is, who's here seen like a movie where the guy, he's walking with a girl, he likes her, he doesn't know if he wants to put his hand high up on it, a little low, right in the middle is where you, because you send messages depending on how you touch somebody, right? You don't want to be a creep, but you don't want to be too friend-zoned, right? Okay. So I have a quick discussion question. Could our clothes be considered a form of nonverbal communication? Why or why not? I just want you guys to turn to someone close to you in the classroom just for a minute and discuss and talk about why or why not you think so. So, Barbara, can you-
Yeah. I'll talk to you. Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I agree too. Especially in like junior high or high school, be like, look at the brands you wear and
Yeah,
you
especially
know.
if you have like plastered, and if not, then like because usually you associate branding clothing with like money and like off brand, not having money, or even like just like the way you dress. Like a lot of times, like, if you take like two guys and one is dressed kind of like super shabby or you know like ripped clothes, dirty clothes, and he goes into somewhere, it's probably gonna get kind of different service than the guy who's dressed in a suit and a tie.
That's true.
So I mean, I'm not saying that like that's what should happen, but you, I don't know, you say kind of who you are by how you dress most of the time. It's a form of expression.
Or like sports clothes versus preppy clothes, high
So
school
like if
kids
you're
would
watching,
say.
if you're out there somewhere, like if you're out shopping, you see this kid like totally like sports, like oh, like especially soccer. You know,
Alright, so
oh, you
finish up your
just got done with
thoughts.
soccer. So yeah, good enough.
Alright. So, what conclusions did you guys come up with? What did you guys think? Share somebody. Who had it? You?
Sure. We said yes because you can use them for like on a date. So it gives the impression of whether or not you really want to be there or not, or how you feel about the person maybe.
Yeah, that's a great example. You, I saw your hand up too.
Take it away.
All right, well, I guess we were talking about emblems too and how they're similar, they're visual. And at first we were saying that they're like an emblem because they'll mean one static thing. But then we referenced like my tie and how this tie means a different thing than having like a piano tie would.
Ah!
So they can't have a different meaning being the same thing.
That's a very good example. Alright, so yeah, I think we all kind of agree that clothes can be considered a form of nonverbal communication. It sends out a message, it sends out something about us, and people receive it in certain ways. And maybe it's a good type of receival, maybe it's bad, but either way, it's completely nonverbal communication. Alright. Oops, I went too far. 1 second. Alright, so learning about nonverbal communication. Just like English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, nonverbal communication is a learned language. From the time we're born, we start learning about these nonverbal cues. Like smiling. When you're a baby, you learn that smiling means that you're happy. And when you give it, you see it reciprocated from your parents, right? Something like that. So we learn about our nonverbal language, and then just like other languages though, there are changes across cultural boundaries. So who mentioned this symbol earlier? Okay, right? An emblem. So it means okay here in the US. But let's look at this. In Japan, if I do this, I'm not saying okay at all. I'm actually saying money. Or in France, I'm saying 0. Or in Argentina, and that list right there, I'm saying something that people will take offense to. So I'm not going to go from the United States over to Argentina and do this symbol, because I'm going to upset some people. So it's just good to be aware that just because something has meaning here, a certain nonverbal meaning, that doesn't necessarily translate globally. We always have to be aware of what we're doing. So it helps to be aware of these nonverbal cues and learn about them so that we can always change it depending on our situation. All right, and now I have a quick video. All right, so this is the Big Bang Theory. I've heard from a lot of laughs. Probably a lot of you have heard of the Big Bang Theory. But while we're watching the video, I'd like you to keep an eye out for what both characters, Sheldon and Penny, both do. in terms of nonverbal communication. Which ones do they use, what forms, and also how their nonverbals change as the video progresses and why. Okay?
I'm Dr. Sheldon Cooper. Welcome to Sheldon Cooper Presents Fun with Flags. My apologies that this episode is coming late. I did shoot one last week in honor of Black History Month, but I was informed by my roommate that my spot-on portrayal of George Washington Carver could be considered wildly racist. My heart goes out to the members of the African American community who, like me, have been kept down by the man. Now, Fun with Flags is not just for the flag aficionado. It's also for the flag novice. So to help me with that, please welcome my friend, neighbor, and flag virgin, yet not a real virgin. She's had coitus many times. Sometimes within earshot of this flag enthusiast. Once while he was trying to watch The Incredibles. Penny.
Hello.
So, Penny, I understand you would like to learn more about flags.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've been at a party where everyone's talking about flags and I just couldn't join in.
Well, you came to the right place.
I'm sorry, could we just pause for a minute?
What's wrong?
I just think it might look more natural if you talk to me instead of the camera. You know, like a real conversation. It's something we work on in my acting class.
Interesting. A few people in the comments section have said that my delivery is robotic. Perhaps that isn't the compliment it sounds like.
Yeah, let's try it again, and maybe this time you could work on your body language a bit. You know, when you're all hunched like that, you're shutting the audience out, but when you're relaxed and open, you're inviting them in.
Right. And which one do I want?
Let's try open.
Our friend the flag's taught me anything, it's to go where the wind takes you, as long as you remain firmly attached to a rigid pole. And action. So, Penny, what sort of flag questions keep you awake at night?
Well, I'm from Nebraska, so what can you tell me about the state flag?
Gosh, Penny. What'd you have for breakfast? A big glass of good question juice? The Nebraska state flag is simply the state seal on a field of blue.
All right. All right. So, did we see a lot of nonverbal communication happening in that video?
Mm-hmm.
Who can name a couple of the things we saw that we talked about in the PowerPoint?
I can't remember what it's called, but like where you are doing a gesture that has no meaning out of context. So where he's
Right.
pointing to the flag behind it or to Penny to come sit down.
Illustrators, right?
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That one.
That's good. Right. Yep.
Penny used sarcasm when she said that she was excited to be there in the very beginning.
Sarcasm's good. It's kind of in the middle of nonverbal and verbal because it's not really like what we're saying, but it is how we say it, right?
Would like the air quotes be an emblem? Because he was like,
Yes, air quotes would be an emblem because when we see this, we kind of don't know what it means, right? Okay. How about Penny? How did she change after Sheldon tried to become less robotic? What happened with her posture when Sheldon came closer to her and kind of put his arm around her?
she kind of became rigid. He was
Yeah, she kind of
intimate
became
space.
rigid. She seemed a little uncomfortable. A little bit of proxemics in there, right? What else did she suggest Sheldon do so he kind of looked more at ease on camera that she learned in her acting class? Open up to the audience. Open up to the audience. Some posture. She wanted to see him change his posture. What about eyesight?
Look at her.
Look at her.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so you guys did a really good job at kind of looking at the video and determining for yourselves, but now I want to see you guys at work and put your acting skills to the test. So I'm going to split you guys off into groups of 4 and 3 real quick. So go ahead and group together, move around a little, it's fine.
Good job.
Let's go over there. Or come join us there.
Yes. There we go.
Okay.
So good.
Alright, so who here has played charades before?
Oh no.
Charades, everyone here? Okay, so if you haven't played charades, just to make sure, you're going to act out words that I have on these slips of paper, and there's going to be no speaking involved. You're going to rely only on your nonverbal skills, okay? You're allowed to read the clue out loud for the people guessing, for the people in your groups, but you yourself can't talk other than that, okay? So if you're acting out, I want you to pay close attention to which nonverbals you're using, which gestures, what posture you're using, and how that translates to them. And if you're listening, or you're kind of the audience, I want you to think about what you're doing in terms of nonverbals that let them know that you either understand or you don't understand what's going on, okay? So I'm going to give you each a stack and take turns going over it.
Oh,
Just put it on the table.
question.
Oh yeah,
Are
sure.
we playing as a whole class or just in our own little?
Just in your own little groups.
Oh, okay.
Yep, you each have your own stack.
Versus.
Alright. And we're just going to play for a few minutes.
Okay.
Now you got to do them all.
Wants to act.
Alright, so you go.
Do it. Oh yes,
I'll
good.
do
I
it.
don't want to act. You can read the clues. Football.
Oh my god. No.
That's easy.
Shimmy out of it.
Yep, and go one at a
Sweet.
time.
I can do
Oh my
this.
god.
Okay.
Oh, you can go. Yeah, I was.
Do you want me to start?
I'll just put these right here.
When do we start?
You can start immediately and just you can read the clues so they kind of have a clue to go with it.
Oh, we can read the
Wait.
clues.
Yep.
Duck, goose.
It's gray duck.
I can use
Uh,
this as
tomato,
my clue
tomato.
as to what I should do.
Yep, you can say this is an animal. And then
Oh.
act it out, right?
Aha, okay. Easy. Ready, guys? This is gonna be a little crazy.
Whoa. Okay, I'm gonna have to actually give you the clue.
This clue? The clue?
You're a crab.
So
Yeah.
the clue is.
How did you get
Okay. Like
Good
Jack.
job. Look you.
Oh, I forgot. I didn't hear the clue.
Oh.
That clue is band name.
Like.
Okay, okay.
Rolling Stone.
I was like, we can't.
Okay. My clue is movie title.
What is it?
Movie title.
This is a.
Harry Potter.
I don't know.
Divergent.
I don't even know. So like.
Bambi.
Vampire.
Twilight.
Yes. I'm like, how do I act out
That
that?
was good.
Alright,
Robot?
mine's a holiday.
Hat.
4th of July.
There you go.
Alright.
We have more.
Yeah, we have more.
Yep, you did.
Suit. Right, the hat. Tail.
Same order.
Doesn't matter, whoever wants to go.
This will be easy. Holiday.
Animals that work.
Valentine's Day.
It's a book. Is it? Yeah, I have
That's
no
it.
idea what you're gonna say. Cat in the Hat.
What's the
I was like,
a what?
I don't know how to do a cat.
Okay.
Now I get it. 20 years. Okay.
Margarita.
Singer.
I
can't do this. I can't. It's inappropriate.
Elvis.
Okay, screw it.
Milkshake?
Yes.
Beyonce.
Nice.
I was just gonna.
Nice.
I was like.
I was like, shake. I'm like, okay.
I was like, how many do I do? Melt.
Alright, I have Disney movie. Okay.
Scary.
That was super easy. Put it on this.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Bam.
Alright, finish up on your last card, okay guys?
The band.
Oh, come on. This is gonna
One
be-
word. One Direction. Yes.
Aladdin.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
What word?
They're wrong. That was supposed to be the genie in the beginning.
We only have a few minutes
Oh,
up to class.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you guys use a lot of different forms of nonverbal cues like the ones we learned today in class?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of gestures. I saw some gestures happening. A lot of facial expressions too. This was just a really good activity to show you like how powerful nonverbals can really be. They really can deliver messages, and sometimes, you know, it's hard to like respond to those messages. It's hard to really understand exactly what the message is without verbals. Like, you know, a cat could become what, I don't know what you were doing there, but you kind of had this going on. I saw you doing the cat in the hat, and you know, yeah. So for homework tonight, we don't have any homework because tomorrow we're going to start on our final projects. So I just want you guys to prepare yourselves, maybe go over some of the notes we've taken so far in the unit from the last couple of weeks. And yeah, I'll see you all in class tomorrow.
Bye.